First of all, thank you everybody for coming. Thanks for adjusting your schedules. We felt it was the safest thing to do for all of our players and families and even fans to be able to have that in the indoor. You know, when we had to decide, you have to decide days in advance, and the way the storm was coming and what it was going to look like and how long it lasted, you know, we felt this was the best way to be able to keep our players safe, all the fans coming to the game, and then obviously with the players' families and things like that. So I thought it turned out really good. I thought the Big Ten Network did a great job in making it work in an indoor. I thought that our operational department did a tremendous job of making sure how it fit with all those people in there to keep our players safe. So player safety was the first thing that we wanted to be able to take care of, and sooner or later this April storm will not affect our spring game anymore. Supposedly, it's what I was told. We averaged less than 1 inch in April a year, except for last year, 22 inches, and now 10. So, but hopefully that'll be able to change its best and move on and get out of here as we continue to move forward and we make some changes towards the spring game next year. Really pleased with our players, really pleased with their efforts. I thought our coaches did a really good job. Teams very evenly matched when you looked at it. So this is the only time I really go home happy because it's such a mix of really good players. You take the good with the bad. There are some takeaways which you want to see from the defense. There were some big plays by the offense. Special teams, I thought Jacob Herbers punted the ball fantastically. And there was just a lot of fun things out there. I wanted the players to have fun. You know, football's a fun game. Sometimes we take that word fun out of it, and I'm not sure why. I want our players at the University of Minnesota to always have fun. I want them to approach it in a very unique way, a very mature way. But if we're not having fun, then we're not playing football the right way, in my opinion, not at the University of Minnesota in our culture. So I thought they really embraced that. They treated it like a game day, prepared like that. And I thought our coaches did a great job. Coach Patterson called it for one team. Coach Simon called it for another team. Coach Rossi was the head football coach on one side, and Coach Rock was the head football coach on the other side. And it just gave them opportunities to call plays and continue to grow in their development as well. A lot of things. I'm sure you got a lot of questions, but very pleased. I thought we had a tremendous spring. We did exactly what we said we wanted to do, accomplished everything we wanted to do. We're a better football team now than we were at the beginning of the spring, and all that does is give us just another chance. Doesn't promise us anything, it just gives us another chance. If you can keep stacking chances on top of each other, you have a better chance. And that's all we want to continue to do. Change our best, continue to be better academically, athletically, socially, spiritually, and do everything we can to make this football team elite. So with that, open up for questions.
What was your assessment of Annexstad and Morgan?
I thought they did a lot of really good things. They both had an interception. One was catastrophic. One was another pick. But again, it's, when you look at both of them, I thought they completed balls they needed to complete. I thought they ran the offense very effectively. We didn't have any delay of games. I thought they were very poised. When you have the offensive line that you have, I mean, it's a mixture of all types of guys. You got ones, twos, threes, all playing together. You can see where the pressure's coming from. You can kind of understand when that happens, but it's good for them. You know, it's good for them. You know, when we have the one offensive line, you hope we don't get sacked that much, but it helps them be able to come back and respond, put you in a lot of second and longs, and I thought they handled that very well. But for the most part, I thought both of them played really well. There's some things to get better at, which we'll obviously clean up. They completed a lot of balls down the field, which I wanted to see. Our down the field pass game has to be more efficient, and I thought they did that.
Obviously, the spring game is a chance for young players to shine, but how nice was it to see guys like Tyler and Rashad really take the bull by the horns and perform well today?
Well, absolutely. You know, you got to have. We've been studying this basketball tournament for the last month, right? March Madness, and it's amazing because when you get into the big games, you get into the tournament, your best players make the biggest plays at the biggest moments, and that's one thing to say it, right? That's a saying, right? It's just a quote. It's just a Fleckism, whatever it is, But when you actually understand it, you constantly show them the pressure they're under, the doubt they're under, the less than 1% chance now they have to win, and they find a way to win. Most games are lost, not won. The games that the champions win, they go win, right? They don't allow somebody to beat them. They don't lose it themselves. Virginia was a perfect example of that as they went through the tournament. There were 2 instances where they had a less than a 6% chance of winning in the final minute, and they won, because their best players played the best in the biggest moments. So who wants to go to the free throw line when we need 3 free throws? Who wants to go to the free throw line when you need to make all 3? Who wants to make that winning shot? Who wants that ball in that scenario? And I think we have way more players that want that. It's one thing to want it, need it, and then you have to go do it. And with Tyler Johnson, with Rashad Bateman, which you saw today, he was the Sid Hartman spring game MVP with 10 catches over 160 yards. Tyler stopped playing earlier. He was on pace to probably break that, but we pulled him out a little early. But you want your best players to be playing their best when you get to the season, and then obviously when you get to October and November. So we're on our way. We're still developing. We're not anywhere close where we need to be, but I like the way this team is trending.
How much has Rashad's baseline increased from the end of last season to now through this spring?
I think sometimes we all forget, which I remind you all the time, so you can't really forget. We're the youngest team in America last year. Even as a staff, when we evaluate our players, we're sitting there at our staff meeting going, oh, don't forget, guys, that kid is 18 years old. And he's put in a role that you have to perform and be at this level all the time. I think what we did last year was remarkable. People say 7-6, we won the Axe, I'm not sure why we say hand in that. I mean, that hasn't happened in 15 years. So, but when you sit there and look at the amount of young players that were on the field when you beat Wisconsin, when you win your bowl game, and they get it, and the light bulb goes off, now they carry that over. They change their best. They continue to grow. They mature. They have more confidence, and now all of a sudden, they're a dangerous player for a lot of years, and that's what we're investing in. We invested in youth. We invested in our upperclassmen, the Tyler Johnsons, the Thomas Barbers, the Kamal Martins, the Carter Coughlins. You invest in those guys, the Rodney Smiths and the Shannon Brooks, and those guys have to be the spirit of it. They've got to lead it. But those young guys, and they have to be able to be put in those positions to perform, and they have. But I think they've taken the next right step, and we've got a lot better. We have to get a lot better in the summer. Have to have a dynamite summer, and then springboard ourselves into training camp.
PJ, reflecting upon spring ball, what's something that you learned from this team that you didn't know coming in?
I would probably say that they truly are mature. We talked last year about a race to maturity and what that meant, and we talked all about that, right? When doing what you have to do becomes doing what you want to do. This team wants to do what they have to do, and it's fun to see that. We're not perfect. That doesn't mean we're perfect people, but when they come here, they want to do it. I can't tell you how many of our players sat there and said, hey, I absolutely love the way our practices are going. In practice 7, 8, 9, no one sat there and, oh, we got to practice. I never felt that one time in spring. I felt that last year. I felt that definitely in year one. But the players are starting to understand how you become a winner, and then how you become, after a winner, you can start to become a champion. They're starting to understand what that means and what it looks like. And it's up to us coaches to constantly force feed them of what that looks like, and not take average ever as acceptance for us. We won't do that. We'll never do that. We will never accept average in any area of their life, academically, athletically, socially, spiritually. And, we had 2 players miss class, kind of. They were there. Some of the class had to leave for something. Well, now that whole group's got to wear coat and ties for the rest of the week. I'm not into punishing players, but you have to realize that if you're not going to do that, there's a consequence to that. You can choose your choice, but you can't choose the consequence. And, so it's got to constantly be in everywhere they look, not in just the football field. It's got to constantly be among their whole life.
How often do you plan to use a 400-pound running back?
As much as we can use him. I mean, he got the ball at the 6-yard line, got hit at the 6-yard line, and, William the Refrigerator Perry went into the end zone. I mean, it was unbelievable. I thought he was going to get tackled. Then he just kept moving his feet. And 400 pounds later, he's in the end zone. So,
got a name for that stuff package?
I don't know. We'll think of an Australian term, I'm sure.
What are some of those young guys that you saw step up in this game?
I thought Thomas Rush had a tremendous game. I thought we put so much pressure on these guys as freshmen to play. If you remember 3 years ago, Kamal Martin wasn't very good. He wasn't a very good player. He was okay, but he wasn't a dynamite linebacker. He is now, right? But he was playing as a very young player, kind of not even really playing linebacker, coming over from a quarterback position in high school, and now all of a sudden he's playing linebacker. Thomas Rush was a running back in high school, and now he's playing linebacker. So there's a lot of instincts involved. There's a lot of technique involved. There's a lot of going to tackle people is not just necessarily natural if you've been playing on the offense your whole life. I thought Thomas Rush really stepped up. I thought Jordan Howden had a pretty good game on the back end for us. I think, even looking at Preston Jellin, him running the football and doing what he was doing. We got Jonathan Sentaga in there, at running back as well at different times. And up front, I thought, you look at our offensive line, that offensive line, everybody, they're going to be here a long time. This isn't like somebody you're going to miss. This is still a very, very youthful, but very experienced now offensive line, but they're very young. And there's a lot of years we have ahead of us. So, but I thought Thomas Rush opened my eyes a lot to a lot of things. And I thought Boye Mafe played tremendous. I mean, his motor never stops. And when you throw him in the mix with Tayon Devers, who's come a long way, Carter Coughlin, Assezi, Winston, you start moving those guys around, and then you have Micah Treadway, who just continues to penetrate. He's so big and physical and strong, and Sam Renner. The good thing is we can be creative. If we can stay healthy, we can be as creative as we want to be. I thought Antoine Winfield Jr. played really well today. He got on the field for a whole half. He has to play football, and I thought he did a really nice job too. So I'll have to go back and look at the film to exactly know who did what, but that's who stood out to me when I watched them. Clay Geary. Clay Geary's another guy. I thought Clay Geary had a tremendous spring. He also was the winner of our egg extravaganza hunt today that we had. He found over 140 eggs in the building himself. There were 650 eggs hidden. He found 140 on his own. Tremendous. He won the competition.
We got one or two more for Coach?
How high do you think the ceiling is for Boye?
As high as he wants it to be. There is no ceiling for him. And he's a special talent that comes around not very often. And he's got a lot of room to grow. But we're going to move him inside at times this year. He's going to be outside. He might be one of the most valuable players on our defensive side this year. When you're in spring ball, you have ones, you have twos, you have threes, things like that. We don't have 1, 2s, and 3s at our position. We don't, because we're going to move those guys around. We're going to find a way to get penetration. We're going to find a way to get pressure on the quarterback on third down, and which will be a little bit different than what we did last year. We changed a lot of some schematics on that as well. So, but we've got him. He has come a long way. We're talking about a young man who lost his mother 2 years ago, and had to be able. The anniversary was a few days ago, and you talk about a young man going through life without his mom and how close he is, and even though he's close to home, that's very difficult to do. And he just puts his oar in the water every single day, keeps rowing the boat. He's got tons of energy. Watch how he plays. Man, he plays the game the right way. He has so much fun out there. And his response is getting better to all the things that might not necessarily go his way.